Yay! All right. Hey, Jerry, how are you?
Hey, Son, I'm good. How are you?
Doing well. For the 100th time that we're talking today.
Yes, yeah.
Today.
This is not a big variation from the video chats that we've done before and after this. So there we go.
Yes. All right. So this is going to be our wrap-up webinar. We started the year by doing a lot of these, and then things got so busy in the middle that we kind of didn't do enough of these. So we'll be doing one last one for the year and hope to do more next year.
Yes, and what a year. I'm a little bit nervous only because, I mean, obviously we talk about our work all the time. That's not a problem. But how do you try to summarize 2020? This is a year from outer space. This is a year like 10 years in 1 year. You know, usually I say by the time we get here, it's like, where did the year go? And this year was like 5 years worth of experience in a single year. So we'll see how we do.
But so much has happened. Like, it's just, I mean, work-wise, we've done a lot and we will go through all of that. But just otherwise, like, so much has happened. It's kind of ironic. When we were growing up, our grandparents had all these stories from back when they were, young. There were a couple of wars, and, so I always wondered if we would ever have anything as a story to tell our kids and grandchildren, but we now do. But then the funny part is, I was talking to my cousin the other day, and if our grandkids ask us, but what was the thing? Like, what did you guys do to get through the year? Well, we just stayed home.
Yeah, not very exciting, everybody. Yeah, no, I feel the same way. You look at, obviously there's so much innovation and change in the world, but I don't know if it's being insulated or what. I look at history and I'm like, man, the 1960s, that stuff was crazy.
Yeah.
What was happening, what people were doing. Now it's like, okay, like I get it. I get it. Okay, I see how society does that. Okay. So anyway, so how do you want to jump in here? We got a new report. We got a lot of stuff we can talk through.
We got a lot of stuff. So I think it's no new news that this year has been difficult, but I think what worked for us was we were a remote first team to begin with. We were distributed, we worked remotely. So this was a very scary year, of course, mental health and just the level of stress. But business as usual continued for us because lockdown happened and we woke up the next day and got back to work as our remote selves.
Yep.
So I think that really worked in our favor because we didn't really slow down in terms of work while there was so much else happening outside.
We did not. It was actually kind of a refuge. I mean, we're fortunate for that, right?
That's true.
To focus. And for those who don't know, so our company is headquartered in Detroit, Michigan. But a lot of our team has been scattered around Michigan and other parts of the country. So we were used to using Slack and phone, not so much video. I feel like that's the thing that really changed this year work habit-wise is I went from being like allergic to video calls and like why. And then now they happen all the time where it seems weird if somebody's phone only. For all the phone only people, it's totally fine that you're phone only. I don't mean it's weird. It's just it's less common now, right?
Yeah.
So, but we were pretty well positioned to just transition, and really, frankly, I mean, at the moment, the Detroit office is really just an expensive mailbox. So we got to figure that out next year. If we're going to keep that, how we're going to navigate that, or if we just fully remote.
Yeah, I think for us, even in that, like our office space was, we're so lean that even the office space that we have was something where, we got together every quarter, every month to like brainstorm. But I feel for the larger companies that have larger workspaces that went unused for most part of the year this year. So,
yep.
Yeah. All right. So we can jump into a lot of the product stuff that we did. I think one of the first things that we launched this year was the data store.
Yeah, big success. I think people like it, and it's fun. It's just a convenient way. A lot of times when we license or sell our parcel data, it's large scale, so it's like nationwide or statewide, and obviously that flies over the heads of people who only need 1 or 2 counties, right, or a smaller number. Sometimes people buy a dozen or more from the data store, but that's been really awesome. That was a fun release too. Because I'm not going to say that it wasn't stressful for Matt and Larry and the team that worked on it and you driving the project management on it, but it did seem to go off relatively without a hitch. At least felt that way. Maybe that's an elite statement. I should take that back, but it was fun.
If the team, I know some of our teammates are here joining us live right now. They'll probably say it's because we were only focused on one thing at a time. But the data store was in the works for a while, like we had been talking about it. But I think what we did really well this year was when the year started, January, the first thing we thought was like, let's just get this done and get it out of the way. And I'm so glad we did it because we launched it in March. And I remember the timing so well because 1 week after the launch, lockdown happened.
Yeah, I was going to say, did anything happen in March of this year? Yeah, it did. So,
we thought, oh no, we spent 3 months building this, and now we're not sure if people will come, but that didn't happen. Actually, people found a lot of value in being able to. Not everyone needs nationwide. Not everyone needs data at scale or statewide. So to be able to like get that, county-wide data. How many ever you need in the formats that you need, and making that super easy for anyone to come, add to cart, and then instantly download. And we've actually hardly had anybody reach out to us with questions because there's so much, like it's so beautifully built and self-serve that it's been working very well.
It is. It's transparent. So you get your samples on there. It clearly shows you what you're going to get, all that kind of stuff. So
yeah. All right, so that's a good segue to just go through all the other things that we did with our data this year, and that's kind of captured really well in that end of the year report that we just published this morning and shared.
How convenient! I have a copy on my desk right here.
Oh, that's awesome! All right, let me share my screen. Let me know when you see it.
Perfect. I'll put this down then. I'll work the screen.
Can you?
Yes, I can.
All right. Okay. So there you go. So this is our 2020 end of the year report. From this year, last year we did something similar, but we just like captured the basic stats and then we shared it and published it with everyone. But this year it felt like just, how far we've come in 1 year. It felt like, having a proper report and doing this on a yearly basis is great. And our customers will really enjoy it. And we've received some messages this morning too about how useful and helpful these stats have been for them. So before I go into the deep dive, essentially, this is a one-on-one comparison for some of our relevant KPIs and stats. Between December of 2019 and December of 2020. The same.
In the acronym game, the KPI is the key performance indicator. So things that we like to measure and keep track of. Sorry, I'm like.
I know. I do have it as an acronym here at the report as well.
EOY, yes.
So yeah, essentially these are the key KPIs that we kind of keep in mind every year as we go through our parcel pipeline and add more to our data set, is essentially making sure that the data quality is never compromised. We're constantly improving on coverage, and you can see that as I go through the stats. Completeness, and there's a difference between coverage and completeness. Coverage is essentially making sure we're getting all of the geographies that we currently don't have. And completeness is not every geography has good coverage for all of the attributes. So they're kind of like, yin and yang, like, two sides of the same coin. And then data recency, making sure that the data is not too old, and improving on data fields as well. So jumping right in, parcel age. I had somebody ask me saying, what does parcel age mean? So I think we should probably explain what it means. Essentially, it means how old the data is, how old the parcel data is. And since it was, last refreshed, so essentially right now our average parcel age is about 193 days. So it's just about 6 months. So that doesn't mean the entire data is 6 months old. It means for most part, our data is 6 months old.
This is something for next year when we move forward. I know we were talking about this the other day, like maybe breaking out age in cities or metropolitan areas versus rural areas, because when you go through a project like this of refreshing everything nationwide, sometimes the reason the average age is older is because there'll be some really difficult to get out of refresh, typically rural counties.
Yeah.
Often the hardest to get. So this is an average of all of them. So, a lot of the data is super recent, some of it's a little bit older, and this is how it shakes out just as a pure average.
Yeah. And what's really key here is, where we were last year. And it's amazing how far we've come. And this is the average county age. For most part, we try to make sure that all of our data gets refreshed once every year. And in some places, we're able to get it more than once. But given how far we've come with every passing year, the hope is that we will be able to refresh and update the data, maybe hopefully quarterly.
That's right. That's the trajectory we're on too. I think it's important that people understand that this is, whenever you see a company or a project or a website, and you're like, what are they really doing on the other side of that? This is an active team. I think one of the key things that we see in our overall work is a great trajectory to it, right? So increasing this velocity. So the current ages and things right now, the goal is to try to get to quarterly in 2021. And it's a big task because part of the reason this data set is scarce and most people don't, haven't committed to this insane task, is that it's very gnarly and nuanced how this all comes together. But that's the goal, is to keep increasing in speed till we get to that quarterly.
Absolutely. And given when I look at these stats, 432 to 193, it's just, I'm just hopeful that 2021 will be even better. We can probably be doing, at least twice or quarterly, hopefully.
Right. Shout out to Matthew, to Ray, to Blake, to everybody who worked on this. We've got some new parcel prospectors who just joined the team. And so it's a mix of a lot of hard manual work and then a lot of smart automation and process to get this. And so great job to everybody there.
Absolutely. And then this is how many counties that we refreshed. And right now we're just a little bit short of 3,000 counties. But yeah, we were able to add these many net new counties that we didn't have earlier. I know it feels small compared to these numbers, but even to get, because we were already at a pretty good number to begin with in 2020, and to add more on top of it. So yeah, we'll keep climbing. At this point, I do want to add this here for, anyone who will watch the video and our current live attendees, that we've sort of reached a point in our parcel prospecting, expedition, that at this point, the only counties that we don't have, some of them are really rural counties that don't have their parcels digitized, or some of them, have restrictive licenses that do not allow us to resell or redistribute the data, or, distribute the data in any way. And then some just, you have to work with them directly or be able to, acquire the data in a different format. So the ones that are solvable, we'll definitely try to solve them. And hopefully we can get to a point where we can have all of the rural parcels and counties digitized as well.
We'll solve them all, but you're right. We might end up getting into some of our own hand-rolled digitization of paper and stuff like that. So we'll get them all.
But with as time, as months are passing, even those rural counties that don't have parcels digitized might have them at some point next year. So,
absolutely.
All right. And then, so a lot of the counties that didn't have owner information, we were able to add them this year, about 123 counties. And this is kind of the completeness that we talked about earlier, is where we see, certain pivotal attributes. Even though our schema is so large, 125 fields in total, we don't expect 100%. Nobody will have 100% coverage for all 125, but there are these key pivotal fields where we'd like to get as much coverage as possible. And where we don't, we go after them and try and see if we can, fill in those gaps. And owner and address are, two of those pivotal fields.
Correct. And I don't know if this is a good time to talk about this too, but we also are adding more fields that don't come from county and public record sources, which is great. So the land use codes, and we had the vacancy data for some time, but just adding more of these things. So it's the mix of the public record that we seek out, clean, standardized, and then additional spatial property level data sets. And so that can expand too.
Yeah, actually, that's a good segue, because we do have data fields as one of our KPIs, but not a lot of that got captured in the report because it's a long list. But we've done this, we started doing this last year, was basically augmenting with complementary data sets and deriving more contextual relevant fields at a parcel level. We did that with the USPS vacancy and residential fields last year. We did that with the building footprints, the buildings count and building footprint square footage. That was early this year. And then all through this year, what we did was we worked with the land-based classification system, the guidelines that were originally published by the APA, and use them to kind of interpret it in our own way and derive land use codes at a parcel level. And we have, after an entire years of work, we now have 71% coverage at a nationwide level for land use activity and function, which are two very pivotal land use fields across the country, which I think is amazing because it just adds so much more nuance and context to parcel records now. So that's what we meant when we said data fields, is being able to add more that we don't necessarily get from at a county level.
That's great. And also too, I know there's not a lot we can announce like this second, but one of the things we did this year is we set up some really great data partnerships for 2021. So there will be some additional data fields, which are really exciting, which people will see show up on the site and in the API and in the licensed data product in the new year.
Absolutely. All right. And then some of our, key highlights were we now have 100% coverage for the state of Georgia. And this was one of the states that we did want to, get coverage for this year. And we now have, we've identified similar such states wherever we have very little coverage now, and it's very, it's a small part of the country that we don't have coverage for, would be the ones that we would be majorly going after next year. Hopefully, we can gain coverage there as well. The other big thing that happened was as of May 2020, we now have updated 2020 data for Puerto Rico, all of Puerto Rico, which is great. And then we also have
in Puerto Rico. I look forward to being back in Puerto Rico when people can travel freely, etc. So
I agree. Oh, we should all go, Jerry, the entire team.
We could. Hey, field trip. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, we deserve it. I feel like we deserve it.
For sure. And then US Virgin Islands. So those got added as well. But yeah, this kind of wraps up, the overarching statistics and improvements that we made for this.
Quote on the final page by a very famous person. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, yes. How can I forget that?
We don't need to see me on here. This is me.
Ta-da!
Yeah. Picture on there. That was a few years ago. I've lost the step since then. I no longer have the sun shining on my tasseled hair in quite the same way. So
that's probably just 2020 impact.
Right.
Next year, the sun will be shining again and we'll all be glowing again. But do you want to quickly talk about our journey since we are on this page from 2014 to where we are now?
Oh my God, Sahana, how to keep this brief. I mean, like this quote says, I mean, when we started pursuing a nationwide parcel data set, it was something we wanted to use in our software because we knew for our tools to work and the mobile app and the property surveying, we needed to have parcels as a base layer. And I think I had read an article, I'll probably get this number wrong right now, but it was like half of Americans live in 200 counties. And it was like, I think we can get 200, right? So, and basically just making a big spreadsheet of all 3,200 counties, and then some really crazy and awesome people on the team, just Google, Red Bull, phone call, email, work through it, fill it out, what's available. And so, we spent a couple of years probably like getting what felt like a nationwide data set. And then it was like, wait a minute, how the heck are we going to keep this updated? Oh, crap. Okay, go back, refine, and it's like knitting. I think we just stuck with our knitting.
Yeah.
To the point where not only do we have it, like we know it intimately, we know the quirks, we know how to update it. We know so much around it that it's a mix of process now, automation and technology, and just like the nuance and the feel for the space. And that really, thank you again to everybody on the team that contributed over time or still contributing or who joined us, more recently, because it really was a journey. And it was really like a questionable kind of thing to do because it didn't have like any kind of rewards for a long time. It was just that we were weird people who did that, right? So, but here we are, now it's like we're at the top of the game of being able to deploy this to help people solve hard problems and get work done and learn stuff. So it feels really good.
Oh, wow. That sounds amazing. And I can imagine how much work went into it because even now we are already in a good place, but there's so much work that goes into it every year on the parcel data, side of things. So So yeah, just a quick note, this report is available for everyone to download on our site. You can find it on the homepage, and you can go to the reports section of our site and be able to download it. And also it's all over our social media today, so you should be able to find it at some point. All right. Okay. So that was the product data.
Yeah.
We did a lot of other things too this year.
We did. I'm just kind of looking at my notes from this. So we had, the tile server and the self-serve API. There was a lot of work on the API. Made a bunch of improvements to Pro. I mean, the general trend this year, it was just pretty exciting. It was like everything, was growing in a good direction.
Yeah.
The sign-ups, all that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. I want to quickly mention the API. So around this time, or maybe October of last year, is when we really started, we published the API and, advertised it. And since then we've come a long way. And this year we also launched our tile server, which was in beta last year. So, our Parcel API and the tile server especially, for those who are just looking for the geometry and polygons, is a great product. We provide both raster and vector tiles. And I know more people are used to raster, so we have that. But a Parcel is eventually, is essentially a vector tiling, and we offer our vector tiles as well. So yeah, that happened. We have them as self-serve, so you don't really, if you're in a rush, you would like to try it. We do a free trial for a week. So lots of fun stuff that we built into the API this year. Very, very proud of all the things we did there. But also, I think. One of the things that we did early this year, and really all credit goes to our friends and partners at SafeGraph, was become part of the COVID consortium, the COVID data consortium. Not only did it allow us to provide our data to researchers and academics for COVID research for free, but it also, that consortium connected us with fellow minds and fellow data vendors, and it kind of created the synergy in the industry between data people, essentially.
It's worth underlining. So SafeGraph, for those who don't know, safegraph.com, location data company. They provide a data set of consumer points of interest. So basically businesses you can walk into, spend money. Where are they? What are they? And they also have a really compelling foot traffic data set. So like how frequently are people visiting different stores and locations? And they did this really great thing. And they, with COVID happening, everybody trying to understand it, they set up, essentially it was like a moderated Slack channel where they tried to connect spatial data providers with researchers and responders who needed data. The data was provided for free. SafeGraph helped as a liaison to sign simple agreements, and then people just got to work with the data. And through that, we both felt like we genuinely got to at least contribute with this data set to helping understand where is the spread happening, what is its effect on the economy, what's its effect on property. And then we also met a lot of other data providers, and it was like, like in any business, I feel like everybody does their own thing. You get into your own lane, your own silo. And then sometimes there are these magical moments where you actually meet and connect and say, we're not competitors. We have room to collaborate together. How can our data sets make each other better? And I think SafeGraph provided a great venue for that. We ended up working with them on the place key launch integration, right? There's videos out there that we've done on that. We've integrated place key into our Parcel data set to a large degree. That's a whole different conversation on place key, but it makes it easier to snap together different data sets with unique code. And so that was just really exciting. And I think that was something that we've always felt. I think it's been a hallmark of ours that we have been more collaborative and open than your average bear. But that was a reminder too that it's it makes business sense as well as social sense to be collaborative and to work with other data companies in that way. So that was really nice to do that and to feel that this year.
Yeah. And yeah, if anyone has any questions about PlaceKey, you can go to placekey.io. There's an API endpoint. You can try it out, test it, see if it works for your use case. If you'd like to learn more about it, you can reach out to us or the folks at PlaceKey or SafeGraph.
Yep. Sorry, they are separate, but SafeGraph kicked it off. It's a whole thing. It makes sense if you go there.
Yeah. All right. So, what else? I think we covered pretty much everything. We did a lot of things on Pro and just improving, but I think our software, will be much different next year. Lots of things lined up to make it more, make it easier, more flexible, so it can better serve your needs, no matter what they are. If you're somebody who's just looking to look up parcels, to make maps, to survey. And this year, I do have to say that because of COVID, we didn't see a lot of surveys happen, property surveys.
There was not the right year to go door to door.
Yes.
Yeah. There was some activity for people who were genuinely, curbside, or at the car window or whatever. But you're right. We didn't see a lot of large organized meet here, everybody disperse, talk to people, come back. So that's true. Although I did just have a phone call today with a customer who's going to be doing an updated citywide survey today. So they're getting ready for, I'm sorry, they're not doing it today. We talked today about them doing it next year. So
yeah,
we'll see that happen again.
Yeah, and for those, for our customers who survey with us every year using the app, and anyone new, you'll probably notice that there have been a lot of improvements into the app, and we hope to make further improvements next year. But all of our LandGrid Pro customers, you can use your LandGrid Pro both on the web UI, which is of course jam-packed with features, but you can also continue to use it with our app. The app is not just for lookup. You can do more with it now. You can there's just more transparency. You can bookmark with it. Bookmark is essentially being able to save properties that are that matter most to you. You can add notes to it. You can add pictures to it. So it's essentially like a survey, but when you don't have a survey and you're just doing it by yourself, it's a great tool to go and quickly, essentially bookmark something that you like.
This is interesting. Let me remember. Let me make a note, right? Without needing to be complicated and, create a 30-question branching survey. You can do that too, but it's also just a lot more user-friendly. So
yeah, and it's great for site selection, property maintenance, all of that. Okay, I think that's a pretty good wrap on the year. What are you excited about for next year, Jerry?
So for next year, we got some, rabbits in our top hat to pull out at some point. There's definitely some stuff that we can't talk about quite yet, but, things that people can expect from us, more, better, faster, for sure. Like we talked about the data updating. So better data, faster refreshes, wider data, all that stuff will be happening. We are excited about making some improvements to the pro level of our software. Right now we have this great affordable $10 a month pro tier that gives you access to more data, gives you access to some GIS tools, or the ability to manipulate and filter and color code and essentially make maps. And one of the things the team is really excited about there is providing much clearer, cooler insights. And by that I mean charts, graphs, dashboards. Right now we have so much data in there, but it is kind of like a manual process to let me filter for how many properties have buildings or not, or or certain kind of land use. And so the team is really excited to be releasing at some point, not too deep into the next year, we think, just the ability to see a city and see how all the land use and ownership and all those fields are broken down, but in a much prettier, I can instantly grasp how land use and ownership is happening here. So that's super exciting. We feel like that's something that has always kind of been in our back pocket, waiting to get to. And we think that when we integrate more of those insights, that'll really wow people, right? It'll just be just much faster understanding when you look at a place. So that's exciting. We're also investing quite a bit in, as we collect this data, we don't throw it out when we get new data, but we always show people the latest. And so we've been doing some work to be able to get back into those archives so people can see how land ownership and land use and all the fields are changing over time. And that's super exciting too. I feel like that opens up a whole world of understanding what are the dynamics and what's new this month, versus last month. And so that's super cool. So we're excited about that.
Yeah.
I don't know, what else would you say? I'm always torn because you don't want to overpromise, underdeliver. I don't want to take a surprise out of something we're going to do. But those are some of the things that come to my mind right now.
Yeah, I think those are about right. Definitely, bigger, better data next year. Just filling in those gaps, making sure that our coverage and completeness gets better, and kind of, hopefully expanding deeper into other facets of land. So we do love land here. So hopefully to dig deep into that next year. With other, through all the partnerships that we have fostered this year. So
absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Personally, what are you excited about, Jerry, next year?
Personally, I don't even know how to answer. Yeah, I don't know. Getting back outside, having the world, heal and move on to the next stage, after all of the tension and the forced need to socially isolate next year. Yeah. I'd be remiss if I didn't, and on the one hand, you can take that for granted because everybody's excited about that. But obviously, like when I was watching the news, I guess it was yesterday, I was watching, the first people get vaccinated. And, I had a moment where I was like, we're all so bombarded right now, right? It's like you turn on the news and I'm like, what's going on? Oh, contested election, questions about the strength of our democracy. Elon Musk's space shuttles are blowing up. The government's breaking up Facebook. It's like too much. But like that one, the vaccines hit me because I was like, that's amazing. Like next summer, maybe, we move on from this. So
yeah. I know you can see the light at the end of the tunnel now, finally. So definitely much hopeful, healthier, hopeful year. And I had a trip planned to India this summer, which got canceled. So I'm hoping at some point I can actually go see my family, and they will be safe and we will be safe. So yeah.
Yep. Next summer, it'll happen. You'll be there.
And our team, they all need vacation too. So, this year is like, what do you do with the vacation? Even if you take some time off, you can just watch more Netflix and Amazon, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know. On that end, I'm trying to think what I even watched, because I know that I've watched.
We watched a lot.
A lot of stuff, but I was like, what do I even remember? Like the movie that I watched this year, because it was only a few weeks ago I saw it, but I also feel like it was year appropriate, was Palm Springs. Did you see that one? Are you familiar with this? So I think Andy Samberg is his name. He's part of the Lonely Island comedy troupe. They used to do a bunch of stuff on SNL.
Oh yeah, I love him.
Yeah, so this is an update on a similar premise to Bill Murray in Groundhog Day, where a guy wakes up living the same day over and over. Precisely. So it felt very 2020. So basically, Andy Samberg discovers a tunnel that he goes in under the ground. He ends up being in a time warp where he lives the same day over and over, and over
I remember it now.
Yeah, and a couple of people into it with him. So now he's there's a person who hates him because he got him stuck in this trap, who wants to kill him every day.
I know.
A girl from the wedding who falls in, and they have a kind of romantic thing. So it's a very funny dynamic, but it deals with this super repetition that felt very.
Yeah, she's the girl from How I Met Your Mother. She was the mother.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. So yeah, I don't know. That felt like it was just something that came to mind. And I've been doing a ton of reading. I've been reading a lot of Michigan history. One of the things with the pandemic, as you know, is Mary and I moved to the Upper Peninsula, and this is just such a unique area. It's so remote, and it has such an interesting industrial history when it comes to mining and the geology and the nature. It's been interesting to go back through, and of course, we only have it because Michigan and Ohio fought over Toledo, the Toledo War. You went to college and university in Toledo. That was the compromise. Ohio take Toledo, Michigan, you take the Upper Peninsula. Sorry, Wisconsin, you don't exist yet, so you don't get to got it. So just kind of going back into the record stacks about how Michigan came together has been my nerdy, studiousness, I guess.
Wow, sounds amazing.
I don't know if we call it amazing, but it's something, yeah.
That's true. All right. Do we have any questions from anyone so far? Feel free to come.
Do we have any Michigan history questions? Ask me anything, and I'll give you a half-baked, half-recollected answer. So we may.
Hey, I do have one question for you. Will you get back to writing your book at some point?
Yes. Oh, that was so. Yeah, I wanted to. That was my. I'm not going to call it a disappointment, but disappointment. But I like to at the end of the year create plans for the new year that are both personal and professional, and that I remind myself. I actually get these like reminder band like bracelets that you can customize the text on, and I put a few things on there. And one of them was writing the Detroit tax foreclosure history book. So just, trying to coherently, succinctly, compellingly package what actually happened with this whole tax foreclosure explosion that was so destructive to the city. How did it happen? Why did it happen? We're so intimate with that. I mean, that was for people who know the history of our company. Like, we've done a lot of work tracking tax debts, foreclosures in Detroit, and then ultimately becoming more of advocates for making it a healthier city that didn't put people out of their homes. And it just seems like a story that needs to be told. So, but all I have, I've got a fairly tight outline. I've turned it over in my head a bunch of times, but I did not do what needed to be done this year, which is lock the door, remove all distractions, and just go. So I've got a good platform for us. So maybe 2021, I'll do that. So that was my one unfulfilled personal goal. Oh, that, and I was going to learn how to scuba dive this year. My lessons were scheduled for March. So
oh, that's unfortunate. You need a Unabomber setting in your backyard to kind of get that. Yeah. That was a dark analogy, but
so anyway, anybody cares, but I didn't scuba dive this year and I didn't finish the book. So yeah, we'll see. 2021.
All right. So I think that essentially wraps up. We will be, sort of low-key closed for the next 2 weeks, and hoping to just regroup again. Gung-ho build for a very exciting, very busy, very aggressive roadmap that we have planned for 2021. So we'll be back in the first week of January. But we are here. We are available. Go ahead, sir.
No, I said, yeah, the team's got to charge up. So if you need us, we'll be here. We're looking forward to second half of December, playing it a little more chill than usual. So it'll be good.
Sounds good. I think we don't have any questions, so it means we can wrap up.
That's right. Sounds good. Right. So you ready to wrap this one up? And then I'll see you on a video call in a little bit, Sana?
Yeah, we'll see you in a bit. All right, everyone. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays, everybody. Thanks to the team. Thanks, everybody.